I have not been to Minnesota in probably 20 years.
Bring gas. Welcome to Flagrant Howls, a Minnesota Timberwolves lifestyle podcast.
He's the sports dad, Judd Zulgad. I'm Phil Mackey. See, whenever you pop on the screen, a bell goes off, a notification. Judd is here.
I thought perhaps that was a sign that Microsoft had fixed all of its problems, and so all the airplanes could take off, and ESPN could get its graphics and shows back.
You know, ironically, I think it was a Teams notification. So like Microsoft outage knocked Sports Center couldn't air. They were airing like the ESPN radio show on both channels this morning. Flights were grounded all across the country. But damn it, those Microsoft Teams notifications aren't broken. They're still going to
that's all you need.
Infiltrate and annoy all of your computers.
No days off.
So Summer League might be complete for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I say might because there's still a mathematical chance they could make it to the top 4 and play in the Summer League playoffs. And I'm wondering, before I get into the takes from Summer League here, I'm wondering if we need to expand Summer League playoffs. Do we need playoff expansion in Las Vegas?
It's coming. You know it's going to come, right?
How about an 18 playoff?
Yeah, it's around the corner. There's no question about it. It's so popular now that they'll probably do it in all seriousness.
And how about this? If you get to the Summer League playoffs, you can insert one of your NBA rotation players that are outside the...
How about Luka Garza goes to what exhibition game? Something at in town here last night. What, like 50 points, 30?
It was I have it here. My buddy Leighton, I believe, was actually coaching the Strictly B-ball team last night.
Okay.
He texted me and said, looks like I'm coaching Luka Garza tomorrow night. And he sent me the link to this. So it's Garza was playing in the Twin Cities Pro-Am last night at Minnehaha Academy. Did I see right that he dropped like 59 and 20 in that game?
Yeah, it was ridiculous. But you know what, too? That's a reminder. You know, the one thing I completely agree with is when fans are like, oh, that guy sucks, right? Like, I could be as good as that guy. That's a reminder of what happens when even a low-level professional who doesn't play a ton, right, goes and plays with good players, but common players comparatively.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, that guy sucks. He's not any good. I could do that. No, actually, none of us could come close.
Well, I told you when I lived in Seattle a couple years ago, and Jaden McDaniels went and played in the Jamal Crawford I think it was Seattle Pacific University. It was the one where LeBron James stopped by, and they had to like cancel the second half of the game because there's no air conditioning, and it was like 90 degrees, and the court was dripping.
Got hurt in that one, right?
Yeah.
That's the league that he got hurt in. 59 points, 20 boards is all he had last
59 night. And 20. But Jaden McDaniels dropped like 53 points in one of those games where you're playing against a bunch of, I mean, they're like good basketball players, but so so we're looking to expand Summer League to 8 games, and we're looking to put rotation players in the NBA Summer League playoffs and more Luka Garza at Pro-Ams. That's on the docket for us. But I just wanted to give you a handful of Summer League takes.
Okay.
Now, they could still get another game. Here's the math. If you are a total Summer League degen and you're wondering how can they mathematically get to the Summer League playoffs, it's the top 4 teams, and right now the Clippers and the Grizzlies are 4-0 each, so they're in. So there's 2 spots up for grabs, and obviously, like, record is the first tiebreaker, but then head-to-head would be the next one, and then point differential. So there's incentive to be blowing your opponents out in Summer League if you care to make the playoffs. So I think, let's see, Warriors, Spurs, and Heat are playing. The Wolves have a 3-1 record, and they have the best point differential of all the 3-1 teams right now. But there's some 2-1 teams that could jump in.
Okay.
But you're mostly looking for Warriors, Spurs, and Heat to lose games. I have no idea who they're playing. And you're looking for them, especially the Heat and the Warriors, who have point differentials that are very much better than the Wolves. Sure. You're looking for the Warriors and Heat to get smoked, and you're looking for the Spurs to lose. And that's your ticket. That's your
Or it comes to an end, and it has been a great Summer League season for the Timberwolves.
Yes, or that. That could be, because you already, like, Terrence Shannon Jr. already got hurt last night.
Yeah.
He, like, toe injury or something.
Don't like that.
So, okay, I'm just going to give you a few Summer League takes here, and you can tell me what you think of these. Number one, on Terrence Shannon Jr., I am convinced Terrence Shannon Jr. will be a good rotation player immediately from day one. Now, I don't know that we have any details. I don't think the toe injury is like serious, but we're still waiting for some more details. He played a couple minutes and then didn't play the rest of the night. But NBA body, NBA size. We know he can score in college, but I think what I was most impressed by, he wasn't out there just gunning and chucking threes. He was out there making plays and playing defense and grabbing rebounds and getting up and down in transition and making passes. So it feels like with his 24-year-old mature NBA body and also his ability to impact the game without shooting the ball 10 or 15 times, I just think he's going to slide right in and be a rotation player probably day one, 10, 12, 15 minutes, whatever it is, and see what happens. Very impressed by Terrence Shannon Jr.
Yeah, and that, essentially started with the first game too. He looks like a guy who can play immediately. Now, I will say this. Dillingham did some good and bad things, but you can sort of see the glimmer there. Like he's still a young guy. There's a lot to improve on, but you could tell there's a definite upside there. I think you're right. I think Terrence Shannon or TJ.
Is it
TJ?
Does he want to go by TJ?
According to during the Sixers Wolves game, which again I'll never get that time in my life back, and I watched it. He wants to go by TJ, but I'm with you. I think he can step in and contribute immediately. Yeah. I'm curious to see what the upside is as well. Like how much more is there at his age to his game?
Yeah, I think he kind of knows he's a rotation guy. I mean, not that he can't be more than that at some point, but it doesn't feel like he's coming in, a guy that was dropping 30, 40 points in these college games. It doesn't feel like he's coming in flexing and saying, yeah.
Right.
I mean, that Sixers game, let me pull up in the box score. He played 29 minutes and shot the ball 5 times and made an impact. This is 2 games ago, but he was a plus 16. Turned the ball over a little bit, but and just like watching with the eye test, he was up and down. He's grabbing some rebounds. So he doesn't need to hog and shoot, but he can too. Like if you said, hey, we need somebody else to step up and maybe score 15 or 20 points, you know that he's capable of it.
He appeared to have a mature game for a guy just out of school.
Yeah. And again, because he's one of the oldest Summer League players, it'd be a red flag if he didn't sort of show what he showed in these 4 games. But okay, second take. You brought up Rob Dillingham. My second Summer League take is I'm a little nervous about Rob Dillingham. I've gone from like when they made the trade and I'm sitting on my couch and I'm trying to process, wait a second. Did they had the TV on like half volume? Did they just say the Timberwolves are on the clock at 8? Or what just happened?
Sure.
And that was like on a scale of 1 to 10 excitement. I was like a 9. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. This is perfect for the paper. Maybe like a 12. It's like a 7.5 now. Just kind of on the good side, he distributes and makes plays at a more mature and higher level than I probably thought. Like he was out there dishing assists and weaving passes through traffic in the lane and setting his teammates up, and I think that part of his game was impressive. But he winds up in 4 Summer League games shooting 29% overall from the field and 26% from 3. Defensively, teams are just going to keep. I mean, the Summer League teams were attacking him on defense and trying to get him in pick and rolls and just get him lost in traffic. So yeah, he's 19. He's 5 years away from being a finished product. But I'm just saying, like, I guess I should put it into context. I'm nervous about Dillingham immediately making an impact, like people were sort of talking about a couple weeks ago.
Yes,
it feels like he's 15 pounds away, and even like some of the open shots, he's not like this dialed in 3-point shooter yet that's going to jump in. So Terrence Shannon Jr. feels like an NBA player now. Rob Dillingham, not so sure day one after watching him in the 4 Summer League games.
I think, a few things. One is I think the fact that he's going to get an opportunity to learn under Mike Conley will be absolutely huge. Again, there were moments where you saw like what the Wolves like, but yes, the competition, especially when he gets to the season, is going to be really difficult unless he makes some huge steps. And I think it might be asking too much for him to make huge steps immediately. So this whole thing of, he'll just play. I think he'll play, but I also think that there's going to be a learning curve, and I also don't think that you can just say, well, if something happens with Conley, he can just start. Like, you're
Yeah.
not there yet. So I think that's fair, but there were moments where you're like, you could see the abilities, and yeah, he just has to gain weight too. Like, he's going to
Yeah.
get pushed. These guys pushed him around. Can you imagine when the season starts? So
Yeah.
there's going to be a large learning curve. There's going to have to be patience. And I'm curious how much Finch is really going to try to play him immediately, because that one doesn't feel like a Finchy fit from opening night.
Yeah. I mean, Finch stopped playing like Monte Morris
Yeah.
and some of the other, what's his name? My guy that the combo guard that was there the first part of the season that was from Philadelphia.
Can I bounce something off you real quick? Just a little bit of potentially reckless speculation. And I know that the Wolves are up against it with the second apron and the cap and all of that. But as far as I know, Tyus Jones is still out there, right?
Dude, there's a lot of good players out there.
But I mean,
yeah.
could you, like, for the opportunity to come home, this is now a damn good team. Like, would there be a workaround on like a 1-year contract to try and get him back? He
Yes.
just seems like he would be a ideal fit on this team now.
He'd be a perfect fit. The only way they could sign him is a veteran minimum contract, which would
That's
be
what
like, because he's
yeah.
he's been in the league for like 9 years, which is
That's
crazy.
what I'm saying.
It'd be like $3 million or something. But yeah, dude, because of all the new CBA restrictions and the aprons, I mean, teams are sort of tapped out or are drawing a line, or they can't do sign-in trades.
Right.
Like the Timberwolves as a second apron team, I'm pretty sure can't do a sign-in trade. So let's say the Wolves and Tyus Jones in a different universe, like, yeah, you're a $7 or $8 million player, but we're over the cap, so it needs to be a sign-in trade. They aren't allowed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you did that, you would essentially be putting Rob Dillingham into a redshirt situation where he would just be sitting on your bench. Maybe once in a while, due to injury, would come off. But it's also a team that's trying to win right now. Like, the biggest priority is you are in a championship window right now with Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns. And man, Mike Conley, 36, 37 years old, he's so good still, but can you really count on him for 82 and 30 minutes a night? He should be scaling back on his workload.
Exactly.
And right now they don't have like a guaranteed fill-in for him. It would be great. It would be great if
you
it could
give
somehow.
Tyus an opportunity, and I know that he would have to take a discount deal to come back here and potentially win a championship here. And the Dillingham things that you brought up, it's not like the Wolves don't see that too. And they're a very smart team now, like from a basketball standpoint. So I can't believe that a team that's trying to win a championship is going to say, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
So
one other quick thing on Dillingham, just on the positive side. In Summer League, especially if you're a ball handler and you're kind of a gunner, you're going to draw. I mean, he was drawing attention. Defenders were swarming him at times and following him. When he gets rotation minutes alongside Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns and some of these other players, Mike Conley, I don't know if they'd put those guys on the court at the same time. He's going to have more open looks, more open areas to operate, just more space. Like, if he's out there with Anthony Edwards, he's going to be open to make plays. Unlike Summer League, where that would be one sort of saving grace right away day one. So again, I'm a little nervous day one. Long term, we'll have to see. But I like it, dude. If the market doesn't come around for Tyus Jones, why not? You want to go back to Washington for like another? Screw
exactly.
That
Are you? Yeah. Do you really want to sign a 3-year contract with a bottom feeder?
Now, if the money is way different, okay. But if he comes in here and you say you're going to play 20, 25 minutes a night, guaranteed, and there's probably going to be stretches where Conley's out for like 15 games or whatever,
right?
And you might just be the starting point guard on one of the best teams in the league. Okay, my third Summer League take. I would try playing Josh Minott in the rotation and see what happens. 6'9", 6'8". He's kind of a diet Corey Brewer. He was knocking down some threes in the last couple of games, but overall, I do worry about his shooting. He's a guy that you probably leave open in the corner. But energy, rebounding, transition playmaking, defense, he gets hands in passing lanes. I think Josh Minott has done enough. And by the way, like at this point, why not try him at the beginning of the season? If it doesn't work, then at least you kind of know going forward. All right. I've seen more, I feel like, from Josh Minott offensively, even though he's not a great offensive player, than Jalen Clark. Like, Jalen Clark is a struggle offensively.
Yes.
You could put him in there for some defensive stop minutes, but I would try playing Josh Minott in the actual rotation first couple months of the season, see what happens.
I agree with that one because so the difference is this too. With him, he's been around with the franchise for a while. You're going to use him as a rotational piece if you do indeed decide that you're going to use him. So in that sense, I'm all for them getting a look-see at rotational guys, especially guys that have been here. Like, I either use them or decide that they don't fit, right? The Dillingham thing is totally different because I think that's a long-term starter, but you also don't want to ruin him. And and I will say, the thing that stood out the most to me probably was the body. Like, I just think he's going to get abused up here. The NBA, man, that's men every night, and those are strong. Like, there's a certain level, I think, of physical maturity that you probably just need, and Dillingham doesn't have it. But the list of guys that you're talking about who, like, they've toyed with but they didn't really use, I would definitely pull the trigger on finding out.
Yeah, and on Minott, just back to him for a second, I mentioned Corey Brewer. I mean, they're kind of similar, like wiry, lanky,
bouncy,
6'8", 6'9", like a young deer trying to find their legs in the NBA or something. And Corey Brewer wound up his first stint with the Wolves, where he was early 20s, which is where Minott is right now. He'd come out there and he might give you 6 points because he wasn't much of an offensive player, but he'd bring you energy. He would get a steal. He'd get a block. Mm-hmm. He would make a couple plays in transition, feeding teammates. He'd grab some rebounds. Yeah, like Corey Brewer's first 2 years in the NBA as a 21, 22-year-old. And those were bad Wolves teams. So he was getting minutes more than Minott because, they had minutes to spare. But he'd play like 20 minutes. He shot 38% from the field and 25% from three. And he just didn't take a lot of threes. He got a little bit better as a three-point shooter, but he was never a great shooter. But he was just out there as an Energizer bunny. And sometimes in the dog days of an 82-game season, Energizer bunnies can win you some games. It's a Wednesday night and the other team is on a back-to-back and you just need someone to be out there for 15, 20 minutes grabbing the rebound that nobody else will, grabbing the 50-50 ball. And I just wonder if maybe that's the role for Josh Minott. And then my last take for you, my last Summer League take, unless they sneak their way into the playoffs, and then there's going to be more takes next week. We finally saw peak Leonard Miller in these last two Summer League games. We saw sort of the 20-10, 22-13, the full skill set of Leonard Miller. The first two games, we did the power rankings after the first two games. It was like, Lenny. Yeah. My guy, this is Summer League. This is your league to dominate right now. But we saw more of that in these last two games.
In fairness, in game one, I think we forgot to talk about this at the time. He did get poked in the eye, and he tried to come back at the end of the first half. And I think he missed the entire second half. And so his night was cut short there.
That's fair. Yeah.
But yes, there definitely is something there.
Yep. So he winds up in these last two games playing a total of 60 minutes. He shoots 9 of 17, 10 of 20, efficient. He still falls in love with the three-point shot a little more than he probably should, but it's Summer League. You might as well jack a few and see what happens.
Hoist him up, he check.
Yeah, but he's such a skilled big man, and you can see the vision there. I don't know that he's rotation ready quite yet, but early in the season, if you can find maybe there's an injury or someone's banged up.
Sprinkle this in. Baby.
Yeah, just how about a little 5-minute stint in the second quarter and just kind of see what happens.
Seasoning here, seasoning there.
Yeah. So I think if we were to redo power rankings based on who deserves actual NBA minutes now that we've seen Summer League, I would say Terrence Shannon Jr. number 1. I'd probably say Josh Minott number 2. Dillingham deserves a shot, so I'll put him number 3. And then I'd probably put Leonard Miller. Leonard Miller's a better basketball player right now than Rob Dillingham. But the Wolves already have 3 of the best big men in the NBA. So in terms of like how you're going to get your minutes, I think Dillingham has an easier path to minutes. So I'd probably rank him that way. And then Dacian Nix had a good summer league too, and he's an intriguing, active, big 6'5" guard who can handle the ball. So more good than bad in these 4 summer league games.
But they can still make the playoffs. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. That Wolves culture, baby.
It's spilling right through. No, the Dillingham thing was a little bit of a surprise because I did expect more, but then to go back to your point, he's 19 years old, right? And I think we do have these expectations. So this guy's going to step right in, and sometimes that's not possible. But I'm telling you, man, that Tyus Jones pitch intrigues me.
Let's
because you're right
let's
about
keep an eye on that here, like Flagrant Howls.
Like they are a definite, like a guy like that could make, especially if Conley gets hurt, which we can't assume he won't.
It'd be a game changer.
Exactly,
an absolute game changer.
Yes.
And the way that the market is falling, I mean, there's a bunch of guys out there that make a lot of sense for the Wolves and other teams. They've already Robert Covington's still out there, but they already kind of filled the
But if
old man veteran.
If you're going to write the checks that Glenn is going to have to write from essentially a luxury tax standpoint, is Tyus Jones, if you can convince him to come here, like I got to draw the line there.
No, if it's a year for, you're already in the second apron.
Yeah.
It'd be $3 million on the books, but obviously the multipliers for where you're at, it would be an expensive veteran minimum guy, but it could be kind of a final piece and some extra depth. So I like it. Our Flagrant Howls investigative team will keep an eye on the Tyus Jones market here. The sports dad will
just went out the door right now.
Our investigative Flagrant Howls
investigative team just hit the streets.
Okay, good. So, all right, those are some summer league takes here. And if you could do us a favor by clicking the like button and the subscribe button on the Score North YouTube channel, you can help us grow the show that way. And also a 5-star rating and a positive review on Apple and Spotify also helps us here. This is a Timberwolves lifestyle podcast. Flagrant Howls.